In March of 1935, a quiet diplomatic cable altered how the world would speak of one of its oldest civilizations. The Persian Empire, that name laden with the weight of Xerxes and Cyrus, of poetry and conquest, of gardens and astronomy and the first postal system, officially became Iran by the decree of Reza Shah Pahlavi. No trumpets, no conquering armies at the gate. Just a letter, and millennia of nomenclature dissolved from the world's lips. The word Persia comes from Pars, the ancient heartland province in what is now the Fars region of southern Iran. It was a Greek corruption. The Hellenes called the whole empire after the province they first encountered. The Persians themselves had always called their land Iran, from the Avestan Ariana, meaning land of the Aryans, in the old Indo-European linguistic sense of the word, meaning noble people. The name Iran was not new in 1935. It was, in fact, the oldest name of all. But here is what that cable could not change: the soul beneath the name. Because Persia was never merely a country. It was an idea, a recurring demonstration that civilization is not a fixed monument but a living thing that is capable of absorbing catastrophes and emerging, centuries later, recognizably itself. And to understand that idea, we must go further back than the name change, past the Safavids, past the Arabs, past even Alexander, to the first spark that lit this ancient fire. Around 2000 BCE, waves of nomadic peoples began filtering down from the Eurasian steppe, the vast grassland corridor stretching from Hungary to Mongolia. Among them were the Indo-Iranians, horse-riding, cattle-herding, fire-worshipping tribes who spoke a proto-language that would eventually splinter into Sanskrit in the east and the Iranian languages in the west. They were not, by any measure of the word, civilized. They had no cities, no writing, no monumental architecture. What they had was a theology. A prophet named Zarathustra, or Zoroaster as the Greeks would later mangle his name, arose somewhere on the Iranian plateau between 1500 and 1000 BCE. Scholars debate the date furiously. What is not debated is what he taught. He described a universe in permanent moral struggle. Ahura Mazda, the wise lord of truth and light, locked in cosmic opposition with Ingra Manu, the destructive spirit of darkness and lies. Every human being, Zarathustra insisted, was a participant in this war. Your thoughts, words, and deeds were your weapons. Truth, Asha, in the Avestan language, was the highest virtue. This was not the religion of a conquered people appeasing capricious gods. This was the theology of conquerors, expansive, confident, world-ordering. It would become the official state religion of 3 successive Persian empires over 1,000 years. By the 9th century BCE, 2 Iranian tribes, the Medes and the Persians, had consolidated power over the plateau. The Medes built the first great Iranian empire, stretching from Anatolia to the edges of India. Then in 559 BCE, a young Persian king named Cyrus II came to the throne of a minor kingdom called Anshan. He was, by all historical accounts, extraordinary in ways that would take centuries to fully appreciate. Within 2 decades he had absorbed the Medes, conquered Lydia, home of the legendary rich king Croesus, and stood at the gates of Babylon, the greatest city on earth. The first Persian Empire had been born. When Cyrus the Great marched into Babylon in 539 BCE, the city surrendered without a battle. The Babylonian king Nabonidus was, by many accounts, wildly unpopular with his own priests and people. Cyrus positioned himself not as a conqueror but as a liberator, and this was not mere propaganda. It was policy. He immediately freed the enslaved peoples of Babylon, including the Jews who had been held in captivity since Nebuchadnezzar's campaigns. He ordered the restoration of foreign temples. He returned sacred objects that had been looted from subjugated cities. He delivered edicts in the local languages. The Cyrus cylinder, a small baked clay object discovered in the ruins of Babylon in 1879 and now housed in the British Museum, records these acts in cuneiform script. It is often cited as the world's first charter of human rights, though historians are careful to note it was also sophisticated imperial messaging, designed to legitimize Cyrus's rule. What is undeniable is this: the Persian model of empire was fundamentally different from anything that had preceded it. The Assyrians had built their power on terror, mass deportations, public impalements, cities razed to foundations. Cyrus built his on administration. He divided the empire into provinces called satrapies, each governed by a satrap who collected taxes and maintained order but allowed local customs, laws, and religions to continue. The Royal Road, a 2,700-kilometer highway stretching from Sardis on the Aegean coast to Susa in Persia, was built under Cyrus and his son Darius to bind these satrapies together. Mounted couriers could cover its length in 7 days. Trade goods and imperial orders moved along it at speeds the ancient world had never seen. At its height under Darius I and Xerxes I, the Achaemenid Empire stretched across 5.5 million square kilometers, encompassing over 40% of the world's population at that time. It was the largest empire in history up to that point, and perhaps more importantly, it was an empire in which Greeks, Egyptians, Babylonians, Indians, and dozens of other peoples could all point to a Persian king and say with some credibility, "He is not our oppressor. He is our sovereign." In 334 BCE, a 22-year-old Macedonian king crossed the Hellespont with 35,000 soldiers and a burning ambition to conquer the Persian Empire. Alexander III of Macedon, who would become Alexander the Great, had been tutored by Aristotle, steeped in Homer, and raised on the myth that Persia was Greece's great enemy. Within 8 years he had destroyed the Achaemenid dynasty utterly, burning Persepolis in 330 BCE. Whether in a drunken impulse or as deliberate political theater, historians still argue. But watch what happened next. Watch what Persia did to its conqueror. Alexander began wearing the Persian diadem, the royal headband that was one of the most potent symbols of Achaemenid authority. He adopted the candies, the Persian royal robe. He demanded proskynesis, the deep vow performed before Persian kings, from his own Macedonian generals. They were, to put it diplomatically, not pleased. His closest companion Clitus the Black called him a betrayer of Greek customs. Alexander killed him in a rage during a drunken argument and was consumed with remorse afterward. He married Roxana of Bactria and then Statira, the daughter of the Persian king Darius III whom he had defeated. At the mass wedding at Susa in 324 BCE, he ordered 92 of his senior officers to take Persian wives simultaneously. 10,000 ordinary Macedonian soldiers were paid bonuses to follow suit. He enrolled 30,000 Persian youths in Macedonian military training. He incorporated Persian cavalry units, the famed Persian companions, into his elite guard. This is the thread that no historian of Persia can ignore. Conquerors do not simply absorb the conquered. Sometimes the reverse is true. The desert wind of Persian civilization blew through Alexander's soul and found purchase. He didn't become less Greek. He became something new, something that only the Persian world could have created. He died in Babylon in 323 BCE, aged 32, perhaps of typhoid, perhaps of poison, perhaps simply of excess. His empire was divided among his generals. But the Persian culture he had so thoroughly absorbed would outlast them all. The Arab conquest of 651 CE brought Islam to Persia, and with it, a transformation so profound that it reshaped the civilization down to its grammatical foundations. Arabic became the language of religion and high culture. Persian was for a time very nearly buried. And then Persian did what it always does. It adapted, it absorbed, and it came back stronger. The Persian language was reborn in a new script, Arabic letters, but remained structurally, grammatically, and poetically itself. The great poets of the Islamic Golden Age, Rumi, Hafez, Ferdowsi, Omar Khayyam, wrote not in Arabic but in New Persian, called Dari or Farsi, creating a literary tradition that would influence Urdu, Ottoman Turkish, and the poetry of Mughal India for centuries. When Ferdowsi completed his Shahnameh, the Book of Kings, in 1010 CE, he had spent 35 years writing 50,000 couplets that told the entire mythological and semi-historical story of the Persian people in a language deliberately purged of Arabic loanwords. It was an act of cultural resistance encoded in poetry. Then came the Safavids. Shah Ismail I seized power in 1501 CE and declared Twelver Sharia Islam the official state religion of Persia, a decision as geopolitical as it was theological. The Safavid Empire was surrounded by Sunni powers, the Ottoman Turks to the west, the Uzbek confederacies to the north, the Mughal Empire to the east. By adopting Shirism as the national faith, Ismail built a wall of religious difference that gave Persia a distinct identity no neighboring empire could absorb or replicate. Under Shah Abbas I, who ruled from 1588 to 1629, this Safavid identity reached its artistic zenith. Abbas rebuilt Isfahan from a provincial city into one of the most beautiful capitals on earth. The Imam Mosque, its turquoise dome and intricate muqarnas vaulting still intact after 400 years, was designed so that at certain hours of the morning, shafts of light enter the interior at angles that illuminate different sections of the tilework in sequence, like a slow celestial performance. Abbas understood something that remains true today: beauty is power. A civilization that can produce this does not need to justify its existence to anyone. Reza Shah Pahlavi's decision to require the name Iran on all official correspondence in 1935 was part of a broader modernization project modeled on Ataturk's transformation of Turkey. He was building a secular nationalist state, and the name Persia, with its Ottoman-era associations and its Orientalist romanticism, did not fit the industrial nation he was trying to construct. The word Iran, rooted in the ancient Aryan heritage, connected him to Indo-European modernity rather than to the exoticized East of European imagination. But Reza Shah could not control how the world remembered. The West kept Persia alive in its carpets, its cats, its poetry anthologies. The Persian Gulf remained the Persian Gulf, despite diplomatic attempts by some neighboring states to rename it. Persian restaurants opened in London and New York, not Iranian ones. The New York Times debated in its style guide whether to write Persian or Iranian. The distinction became in some circles deeply political. Persian, associated with the pre-revolutionary culture the diaspora mourned. Iran with the Islamic Republic that had replaced it. Today, more than 4 million people of Iranian descent live outside the country. Many of them navigate this split every day, Persian in their kitchens, in their music, in the way they recite Hafez at Nowruz, the ancient Zoroastrian New Year that survives intact to this day, predating Islam by over 1,000 years. Iranian in their passports, in their politics, in the geopolitical weight the word carries. But perhaps this duality is not a tragedy. Perhaps it is the most accurate description of what this civilization has always been. Not one thing but a thread. A thread that runs from the nomadic firelight of the Central Asian steppe, through the Achaemenid throne rooms of Persepolis, through the libraries of Islamic Baghdad, through the turquoise domes of Isfahan, all the way to a satellite dish in Tehran receiving a signal from a diaspora that still recites Rumi from memory. The name changes. The thread does not break.